Welcome to the Christian Alchemist podcast. This is your place to discover what works, to throw aside all of that voodoo, the universe is your genie nonsense, and tap into faith-based principles that work 100% of the time. Get ready for the real deal, the true Christ-centered alchemy that awakens the power within you, deepens your partnership with God, and transforms your life into all you were created to be. It's time to discover the real you. It's time to unlock what's been hidden within you. It's time to step into the life you were meant to live. And now, here is your host, multiple award-winning author and educator, and creator of the Faith, Focus, and Flow transformational program, James Riddle.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Christian Alchemist podcast. I'm your host, James Riddle. And today we're going to continue our journey through my book, Faith, Focus, and Flow, the 3 Keys that Unlock Your Superhuman Power. Today's lesson is one that I personally think is the single most important lesson anyone can learn in life. There is no lesson more important than this, in my personal opinion. It is connecting to source power. And so let's walk through this. What is source power? Well, it all depends on what the context is, doesn't it? You know, you could plug a lamp into an outlet and you say, what's the source power for that? Well, you would track a power flow, right? You would say, well, the source for the power is coming from the outlet, but is that where the source is coming from? You'd say, well, no, that the source, you'd start connecting the dots and you say, no, the source is the power plant. And you might say, well, is that really the source power? And you might keep on connecting dots and connecting dots, and you might find out that the actual source power was the natural gas that operated the machines that caused all the power flow to reach the outlet where you plugged in the lamp. And so this is the nature of power flow. But we're going to be going into source connection. Now, source connection is every source that you're connecting to. Now, first of all, let's say that you want to start a business and you have a product that you want to sell. Well, the source for your finances is going to be the customer who spends the money, right? And so you're going to have to connect to a power flow from that customer to your product. You know, there's how are you going to make that connection? And so we're going to be talking about that today. But I'm going to start this by going straight to the top. God. Who is the OG? Who is the original source of all things that there is? Who is the original source of every power flow in the universe? Stop and think of what Max Planck said. We talked about this in our last lesson. Max Planck said that God is at the origination point of everything that exists. Nothing exists apart from God. God is the conscious, intelligent mind that brings an atom to vibration, which creates all that we see. And if you look at all that we see, it has perfect design to it. Look, I mean, how many people do you know that have eyes in the back of their head? No, everyone's got eyes in their front of their head. At least most of us do. You know, we're all designed much the same way, and there's such beauty in creation. Everything is obviously designed. And so let's think through this. God is within all things, and God works according to specific laws. Everything in creation operates according to pattern, according to order, and according to a flow that comes from the original source, that comes from God. Scripture says that God does all things decently and in order. Scripture says that God holds all things together by the word of his power. When you examine nature carefully, you discover predictable flows of power that are woven within creation itself. Everything has a flow to it. Everything does. Everything has a pathway. Everything has a process. If you looked at the entangled universe with all the electromagnetic flows, and we talked about the torus flows and everything has a connection to it. You can find a pathway to every single torus out there. You can find a pathway to get to everything in existence, all the way from distant galaxies to where you are right now. There is a power flow that can get you there. And since God is mind, the conscious, intelligent mind, through mind, you can connect anywhere. You can connect to the other side of the world. You can connect to money that is in Germany while you're sitting in Taiwan. These are connections. This is part of learning how to do this. And so if you study nature itself, you see how all this works. Everything has patterns. All these patterns are repeated. It's like the Kabbalion says, as above, so below. As below, so above. So every torus field has a specific flow according to its energetic signature. You have one around you right now. We've talked about that already. Certain things are attracted to each other. Certain things are repelled from each other. Electricity flows from a negative terminal to a positive terminal. Through negative and positive, those negative and positives are opposite, right? You know, the negative and positive are opposite. But that's polarity. That's within whatever that is. It's all based on the same basic thing. It's just the negative side and the positive side. The negative and positive are ends of the same spectrum. Together they complete the flow. And so this is the nature of what I'm talking about here. You are wanting something. You are connecting to the flow of power that will get it. So you're like that negative terminal, and you're looking for the power flow that's going to bring you what you want. See, this is the way life operates. To achieve anything in life, you have to connect to a power flow that produces the result you desire. That's one of the greatest secrets of success. If you examine these people like we talked about in the last lesson, they follow power flows. Especially if you look into Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, it's all about power flows. Most people, they only look at the result. They only see, they'll see Elon Musk and say, oh, yeah, he's rich. You know, he's rich because he did this and he did that. And they don't know jack about what he did. They don't see the power flows he followed. They don't see how he had an idea and he tracked a power flow that would bring him what he wanted. And so what they see is that they see the successful business. They in everything. They see the healthy relationship. They see the best-selling book, the thriving ministry, the Olympic athlete. They don't see all the work that this person had to do in order to become that. They had natural gifts, yeah, and we need to follow our natural gifts. We're going to talk more about that. But there's other things. You look at the millionaire entrepreneur. How did they get it? What power flow did they use? People look at all this, but they never stop and think, what is the power flow? How did they do that? What was the invisible flow that created what they got? Everything has a power flow behind it. Every successful business has one. Every thriving relationship has one. Every healing process has one. Every financial breakthrough has one. Every invention, every ministry, every athletic achievement, every social movement, they all have a power flow that brought success. So nothing appears out of nowhere. There's always a path. There's always a chain of causes, systems, actions, knowledge, relationships, adjustments, opportunities operating beneath the surface. The key to achieving anything in life is discovering and connecting to the power flow that actually works. You want the one that works. And many can work, but you want the one that's going to get you there the quickest. So that's why questioning is important. All of your greatest success gurus, or whatever you want to call them, they're the success masters is what I call them. They all ask quality questions, and they get answers, and then they ask quality questions of their answers. So the purpose of asking questions is not merely to gather information, it's to discover a power flow, to discover what works. What is the power flow that works? I always tell my students, always question the answers to your question. First, ask a good question, and then question the answer. And when you question the answer, you ask another really quality question. Let's make this practical. Okay, let's suppose you want to grow a peach tree. Okay, you begin by asking questions, right? You say, okay, you already know a lot about planting and everything, but you might say, okay, where will I find the very best peach seed? Because that's where it begins, right? It begins at the seed. And so you might say, well, it's the very best peach. And you might say, well, the very best peaches are grown in Georgia. And you might find yourself the very best peach you can find. And then you get the seed out of it. And you might say, ask more questions. You say, when should I plant this seed? What kind of soil does it require? How much sunlight does it need? What should I avoid? How much water does it need? You can overwater and you can underwater. What insects and diseases would threaten my tree? How long does it take before it starts bearing fruit? And how long will it take till it starts bearing really good fruit? All of these are really pertinent questions. And once you get the answer, you ask more questions in order to get to the main point, in order to find out what is going to be the best way to do it. It's the questioning that does that. And so this is what I tell my students. Always ask quality questions and question the answers to your questions. Every answer reveals another part of the power flow. Eventually, once you understand the flow, you can create the plan. And that's the whole point. You want to create the plan. You want to know when to plant. You want to know where to plant. You want to know how to take care of your tree. You want to know what the conditions to help it thrive. And so you're not guessing. You can create the plan because you already know the process. You know what it'll take. And that's how you're going to produce the best peaches. So the same principle applies to everything. This is a good example that applies to every single thing in life. Consider the example of a woman who's making all kinds of money teaching seminar. Most people just look at it and they would say, oh, she's such a good teacher. Oh, look at what she does. You know, she makes all this money. Boy, I would really love to do that. Well, track the power flow. You ask the questions. You stop and look at it this way. You say, first question, how did she make so much money? So it's going to take a little research. You're going to have to find the answer, right? And so maybe the answer is she created a business teaching power principles for career success. And you think, what question can I ask of that answer? And you might say, well, who are her customers? And the answer might be, she mainly teaches college students who were uncertain about their career choices or their majors, and she also teaches the counselors who help guide those students through those decisions. We're getting to the point, right? We're finding the power flow. And you might stop and say, how does she teach the material? And you find out, well, she does this, of course, through seminars and guest speaking at colleges. And there's all kinds of questions that you could ask. There's many different directions to take, but you ask these questions in order to find the right direction. So the next thing you might say was, well, how much does she charge? And you might find out, well, she charges $399.99 per person for a one-day seminar. And she will give discounts for group bookings. So you might ask, okay, now, Let me ask another question here. Okay, that's my answer. You might ask of that answer. You say, well, how do students and counselors afford the seminars? Because these are college students. And you stop and say, wait a minute, how do they afford this? And then you find the answer. You discover that many schools have funding that is allocated specifically for career development programs. So you go, oh, wow, okay, so they're not even paying for it. They're getting the funding from the school themselves, the school itself. They're getting that. And then you ask, okay, she didn't just jump in and get that. Well, how did she qualify for those funds? Notice you're you're questioning the answers to your questions. And you find out she completed the process to become a qualified vendor. And of course, that can take you down other rabbit holes and everything. She completed that process, and there's different things that you're going to have to learn. There's all kinds of other questions that could be involved. How did she market herself? How was she discovered? Who helped get her first booking? Did she build relationships with the counselors? Is that how she did it? Did she maybe give away some stuff for free? We'll talk about that in a minute. Did she use social media? Did she write a book first? The book can be a good end for something like that. Did she offer the free presentations? Did she make a lot of mistakes? This is so important because there's an old adage that says there's three types of people. There's stupid people, there's smart people, and there's wise people. There's stupid people. They make mistakes, but they never learn from them. There's smart people. They make mistakes too, but they learn from them and correct them. And then there's wise people. They learn from other people's mistakes. And so you want to be wise. You want to find out, did she make mistakes? What mistakes did she make? You want to avoid those mistakes. What worked best for her? What failed? Did she do things that absolutely failed? You ask all those questions. Every answer reveals another piece to the power flow that you want to know. So once the power flow becomes clear, you can begin creating your own plan. And that's the whole point. That's how success works. You're finding the power flow. Now, suppose that you want to become financially successful. And so most people ask weak questions. That they ask, well, how can I get rich? Well, geez, you know how many ways you can get rich? You really don't. You want to be more specific. You want specificity. That kind of question is way too broad. Instead, ask the precision questions. What value do people desperately need? Do I have the gifts to bring that value? And even with that, you might want to start with that. Start with, what do I have to offer? What are my gifts? What are my talents? What am I naturally designed to do? And when you start with that, you say, well, what can I provide that people desperately want? What specific needs do these people value? Where do the people gather who want what I have? What problems are keeping them awake at night? Because the things that keep them awake at night are something that if you can provide a solution, that's what you're looking for. The problem that they're really wanting someone to help fix, you come in and you fix the problem. It could be with a product, a physical product. It could be with a service. And you also want to think, okay, who already solves this problem successfully? A lot of people have the wrong idea about success. They think, I got to come up with this brand new idea. Brand new ideas seldom work. You want to tap into a system that's already in place. You stop and think about a department store. Okay, you want to go compete with Walmart? Well, that's going to be a tough gig. But maybe locally you can create a department store that appeals to the local public. That could be something that could compete with Walmart. Depending on what you're doing, you would have to find out what keeps those people up at night, what they really want. And so, and you'd have to stop and think about, okay, now once I've got this, the successful people, how did they reach their audience? How did they get started? How did they monetize their solutions? What systems are they using? What technology are they using? What qualifications or relationships or platforms helped create their success? You're asking all of those questions. Every answer reveals another piece of the flow. Then, of course, you question the answers themselves. If one strategy does not work, why not? What part of the flow is missing? What obstacle is blocking the connection? What are successful people consistently doing differently? Because there is some commonalities to success. What do they do differently from the people who fail? What are all of the successful people doing? We're going to talk more about that when we go into the power of affirmation. I wrote books on this to help you find what they're consistently doing. And once you do all this, the path is going to become visible to you. The questioning always reveals the flow. The quality of your life is often determined by those questions. It's determined by the questions you ask. Now, here we go again. I want you to think deeply on these power flows. We're talking about power flow. And so, what if there's a way to connect to the original source of all power itself, every flow? Some people would say, here we go again. He's going to get all religious on me. It's really not that religious. If you examine it, Max Planck came to a realization that God exists through science itself. He looked at it all through science itself. And so this is what I do. I'm looking at it all actually from a scientific perspective. I don't use the Bible, sola scriptura, as my foundation. No, I use experience. I use science, and I test all my sources according to those things, according to what people have already determined is successful. And so when I do that, I come to an original consciousness. I do that through questioning. And so, is there original consciousness? Of course there is. I mean, most of us know that. The original consciousness, wouldn't you agree that consciousness is superior to your consciousness? And wouldn't you agree that your consciousness comes from that consciousness? And so right there, wouldn't you agree that you have a connection to the superior consciousness? The connection is there. It's there. I promise you. The source from which all other consciousness emerges is actually within you. Stop and think about. God is omniscient. He's all-knowing, omnipotent, all-powerful, and omnipresent. He's everywhere. He's everywhere at once. And so the God who creates me, who is within every cell of my body, is also in the cell of the body of someone 2,000 miles away. God is there. And is there a connection through God all the way to that person? Absolutely. So if God is there, is it possible that God can connect you with that person? Absolutely. You have to be able to see this, because this is what will ignite your faith in order to bring things to you. And I've done these things miraculously. It's really not miraculous. It's just once you realize it and you do it, you're like, oh my gosh, here we go. Let's get this done. And so anyway, the source of God exists at the creation point of all things, everything. It's within every atom of every person. It's within everything, every dog, every coffee cup, every cell phone or whatever. Every being in existence has some kind of relationship with the original source and is connected to that source. Most things connect instinctively. But human beings like you and I, we possess reasoning capacity. I hope you're getting this, because you're going to love it when you do. You're going to change your prayer life when you do. Okay? We can intentionally seek guidance from the source. And this isn't just religious language. I'm not talking about the common prayers of Orthodox Christianity or whatever religion. I guarantee those prayers aren't being answered because people don't know jack about prayer. They don't understand how to make the connection. And I'm going to show you. There's some other videos I'll do. I'll do a video on the Lord's Prayer sometime so that you understand what Jesus was actually talking about when he did the Lord's Prayer. It's really a beautiful prayer if you understand it. But we turn it into this religious thing and we're going to say 10 Our Fathers, and you have no idea what you're even saying. It's a pattern. It's not the specific words. It's the pattern that you're using. But we'll talk about that another time. Can an atheist do this? Absolutely. Most atheists are atheists because they can't stand religion. And I think I have a lot more in common with an average atheist than I do with an orthodox fundamentalist, religious person. Because I see things, it's like the atheists and I probably both build our belief system based on observation, based on science, true science. Not science. Scientism can be a religion in itself. But even like an atheist, they might call what I'm talking about intuition, connecting to a higher intelligence. They might call it synchronicity. They might see there's something more to this, and so they're just tapping into something more, even though they don't call it God. They might just call it inspiration or inner knowing. There's a lot of atheists who believe in the Akashic Records, which is that everything in the universe, the field, has all the information in it, and that's something that we have in common. I believe that too. So the thing is, millions and millions of people testify that this stuff works, even atheists, that you receive information. How do you receive from God? How do you receive the information? Well, you got intuition, you got sudden ideas that come to you. We've all experienced this. Sudden ideas, you enter relationships and someone will say something that just connects you to the information that you need, and they might not even say what the answer is, but what they said connects you to the answer. We know this happens. In conversations, we'll suddenly, boom, boom, ideas will hit us. We'll be reading a book, and suddenly we're like, oh my gosh, now I'm connecting the dots. We tap into opportunities. Opportunities are in front of us, and we move forward into them, and these opportunities guide us in directions. It's God guiding us. We get inner impressions. We get those moments of unexpected clarity. Those are all what I'm talking about. And so, how do you connect with this guidance? Well, it's just like James said. You don't have because you don't ask. And Jesus said, ask and you shall receive, that your joy may be full. He said, whatsoever you desire when you pray, believe you receive it and you will have it. So you ask. Now, James also, I highly recommend you read James chapter 1, verses 5 through 8. He says, but when you ask, if anybody's asked wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives to everyone liberally. And he says, everyone, all people. He doesn't differentiate and say, well, you got to be a Lutheran to do this. You got to be Islam to do this. No, gives to everyone. And so when you ask, you say, Lord, give me wisdom. That God loves that. He steps in and he gives it. But you got to ask in faith. You cannot ask for wisdom and then doubt if wisdom is going to come. In that scripture, it says, if you're going to doubt, you're like a wave of sea tossed to and fro by every wind of doctrine. You're not going to receive anything from the Lord, because the Lord works in processes. So when you ask for wisdom, 99% of the time, it's not going to hit you immediately. It might, but it's probably not. You're going to have to just walk away and say, I'm going to get it. You have a joyful expectation. I'm getting wisdom. I'm getting wisdom from God. And you expect it, and suddenly it comes. Okay, it could be the next day. It could be the next week. It could be next year. You never know. But you continually seek wisdom from God. God is always wanting that relationship with you. So be attentive. Look for the guidance. Expect the insight. So sometimes it's going to come to you in miraculous ways, and other times it won't. Sometimes you're going to be like, oh, wow, I can't believe I came up with this. You have no idea how many things I have done in my life, and I look back and I say, I can't believe that I came up with this. Me? I came up with that? Well, I really did, and I tapped into the wisdom of God, and God was overjoyed that I did it and wanted to become involved, and so I just developed this relationship. So remember, the source knows the path to everything because the source created all things, knows everything. Now here's another catch. God does not simply do all the work for you. Instead, God guides you toward the power flow, because that's what you're looking for, the power flow. God's going to guide you towards it, because God doesn't want you just sitting there doing nothing all the time. He wants you to experience the world, because He experiences the world through you. And so He wants you to have the experiences that you want. He wants you to have a joyful experience. He wants your life to be joyful, because He wants to live with you and enjoy that joy with you. What we actually do is we're connecting ourselves to the information that's in the field. We do that through awareness, through observation, through questioning, learning, intuition, experimentation, action, adjusting, revising. All of that is how we get this done. Once the flow becomes clear, that's when the next step comes. That's when we got to create the plan. That's crucial. That is the action step. You don't just think your way to success. You act. You come up with the plan and you act on the plan. You cooperate with the flow through the action, that when you connect all those dots and you create the plan and you act on it. Suppose you discover, how to be a successful speaker. You create the plan. You know the plan includes maybe becoming certified, maybe building a website, posting content consistently, networking with schools, becoming an approved vendor just like the other speaker, offering free seminars initially that gets people to where they know that you exist. You collect testimonials, you improve your communication skills, all kinds of stuff like this. Everything comes, you improve the skills, you gradually scale upward. All of that is part of the power flow. And the power flow is what gives birth to the plan. Then action is what activates the plan. And you don't get it without the action. And the action is something that you should be doing, something that you enjoy doing. And we're going to talk more about this in later lessons. Through consistent action, you begin moving with the flow instead of against it. So let's go back to the questioning, the answers to your questions. Remember, you want to find the best power flow. And so you determine the path by asking quality questions. You can find a power flow in almost anything, but not every path is equal. Some paths are long and complicated. Other paths are filled with unnecessary resistance. You want to avoid that resistance. You want something that flows very well, that it's not going to fill you with stress. You want the shortest, clearest, and most aligned path to the result that you desire. Remember, everything is energy and everything is power. In this deeply connected universe, the dots always connect. There's always a connection to a flow of power. But if you want the right power flow, you don't just chase any power flow. You look for the one that resonates with your frequency signature. This is so key. You want to follow the real you. And this is where, when we get into the flow principles, we're going to be talking about that self-awareness. We're going to be talking about you, that there's a genius inside of you. Right now, there's a genius inside of you. We're going to get to that. This is why self-awareness is so important. It's why self-actualization is so important. You want the path that produces success outwardly while keeping you aligned inwardly. I like that. You want the path that produces success outwardly while keeping you aligned inwardly. You want what brings you joy. Joy is powerful. We're going to go into this. I'm going to show you some stuff in a later lesson about this. And so you want to see it from both ends of the spectrum, though. You want to see, okay, what does this customer, what the person you want to serve, the person you want to buy your product or whatever it is, whatever service is, who are you doing this for? What do they really want? You want that connection, but you want to make the connection with you. Are you the person to provide that? Are you the best person to provide that? I'll guarantee, we're going to talk about this later, you are the perfect person for many things. There's another thing that I want to bring out real quick. It's, ask this question, can I give away most of it for free? And still make money? Can I give my services for free and still make money? Absolutely you can. Sometimes giving yourself out there for free and doing it just to help people, it gives you a name. It gives you a reputation, and people start wanting what you have because of your generosity. Think about ChatGPT. I used ChatGPT to create Faith, Focus, and Flow. What I did is I had a whole program that I did, a bunch of PowerPoints on each of these lessons. I had a bunch of PowerPoints, and then I used Chat, and I copied and pasted all the text of my PowerPoints, and then I made some notes on each text, and then I had Chat create each chapter, and then I revised the chapter. And so writing the book was pretty easy. Now, understand this about ChatGPT, about AI in particular. AI, there's two kinds of intelligence. There's artificial intelligence and there's actual intelligence. When I first did it, I was like, my gosh, AI is not real bright. It just didn't do what I asked it to do. And so I would have to over and over again try to get it done. And I would have to revise it, because if you don't revise what chat does, it's going to give you an output that sounds wonderful, but it's all over the place. And so you're gonna, I'm an AI prompt engineer by certification. I'm a prompt engineer, but there's another way. This is just a little side note. You want to be able to prompt something, to prompt chat. Get it to create the prompt. Tell it what you want and get it to create the prompt, and then analyze the prompt that it gives you. Cut and paste that prompt, put it in there, and then it'll give you an output that you really want. But you can get chat to do that for you. That's just a side note. But talking about giving away free stuff. Now, ChatGPT, they have the free version. Now, the free version, the people who use chat, 94% of them don't pay a dime. 94% don't pay a single dime for using chat. But ChatGPT is able to make billions and billions of dollars because of that leftover 6%. Only about 5% of the people use the Plus program, which is only $20 a month. It's real cheap. But then the other 1%, they'll pay $100, $200, maybe more to use the more advanced systems in ChatGPT. That's how they make all their money. So can you use your program? Can you give it away for free? Well, a service is much easier given away for free. A product, maybe not. Information products, yes, you can give away plenty of information products absolutely free. Physical products, maybe not. But what about a service? Okay, let's say that you're a hairstylist. Can you give away hairstyles for free? Absolutely. Now, you're going to have to be dealing with products and everything, so it's going to cost you money to do this, but you might have a couple of days where you are giving away free haircuts or free hair color or something to to 10 people that you give that to. And then when you do it and you do a great job, then you got 10 people who through word of mouth are going to get you more clients. You can even give away your free service to important people. Maybe to a newscaster or something, and you do their hair and everyone's asking, wow, who does your hair? And you did it for free, but you're getting clients from it. So can you give away things for free? Yes. It's sometimes that will help create the power flow you're looking for. Okay, I don't want to ramble too much here, because there's so much more that I want to share. But just get the book. Get the book and read it and become a part of the mailing list. You can get a whole lot of stuff, free of charge. I give away a lot of stuff for free. So let's just look at all the steps. Let's break it down real quick. We'll close with this. Number one, first step. You recognize that there is a power flow to all things. And getting what you want is a matter of discovering that flow. That's step one. Second, you recognize that the original source is connected to both ends of what you want. God is within you. God is also present within the person, the opportunity, the resource, the idea, the pathway. Whatever you desire, God is there too. So God is your connection to it. Number three, you ask. You ask, just like James 1. If anyone lacks wisdom, let him ask of God. He gives generously. Ask, trust, follow the guidance that come. Don't doubt, just expect. Fourth, you ask pertinent, quality questions. The better the questions, the better the answers. And so you want pertinent, quality questions. And then you get into fifth, you question the answers to your questions. And when you question the answers to your questions, you continue that process. You ask quality questions of those answers. That's how the power flow begins revealing itself. Sixth, you start connecting all the dots. Every answer provides another dot to the equation, provides another dot to the power flow. You trace the pattern and you identify the clearest path to the result you want. And then seventh, you create the plan. Once the power flow becomes visible and you start seeing this is what I have to do, you create a plan based on all those answered questions. You create the plan. You organize those dots into practical steps. Number 8, you act on the plan. Consistent action, it can be revelatory. It can reveal what's working. It can reveal what's not working. It can reveal what's missing, any way that you need to revise and adjust. So you always act on the plan. How are you going to get it anyway if you don't act on the plan? Then, of course, just like I just said, number 9 would be revise as needed. Action gives you information needed to improve the plan. You do what works. You find out, a lot of times you find out what works by working the plan. And then 10, you never stop asking quality questions. You never stop questioning the answers. You keep seeking, you keep refining, you keep adjusting, you keep moving. You move forward. Always track the power flow. That is the connection. You want to always connect to the OG. Get guidance and joyfully expect the guidance. Make a committed decision regarding what you want to be, do, or have. Then become that person that you desire in your mind's eye. Live that way, think that way, act that way. Do what that person would do in your present circumstances. Become. You get what you become. That's how transformation begins. That's how you connect to source power. The main thing is you are tapping into the one who created it all. That's the main thing. You're tapping into the one who created it all, who is everywhere, who connects you to whatever you want. God is here and God is there. You have the connection, and the connection is here and here. Okay, all you have to do is ask, and the plan will be revealed to you. That's the bottom line. Okay, I'm going to stop there. I'll keep on rambling because this stuff can excite me, as you can probably tell. Our next lesson is going to be cause and effect, the law of cause and effect. That all of these things that I'm showing you, if you tap into the right causes, you're going to get the right effects that you want. And that is going to be lesson 5 in the faith process. I'll see you there.